the orchids that I grew this year. Well, it's been a full year since I bought these Phalaenopsis orchids and got them from my wife. And I live in California. And during the winter time, I grew them under lights, T5 high output lights. As you can see, all the different colors of Phalaenopsis that I grew. And we're able to get to bloom. I have a lot of white ones. And again, this is my first video, so be patient with me, please. It is now April the 29th, I believe, or 28th. And I have moved them from being underneath the lights and put them in our front room, or the front living room, where we get an eastern light for the summer. They grew here last year before I put them under the lights during the wintertime. I put them underneath the lights during the wintertime because where I live in Central California, it gets too cold during the wintertime for them to grow all that well. Although the cold is how I induce them to bloom. And like I said, this is the first time that I've grown orchids in my life. This is the first time that I ever tried to get them to rebloom, and was successful on just about every one of the orchid plants that I have. Even there's a little mini one. And I have another little mini one there too, which is still trying to bloom here at the end of April. And then, of course, I have a few Vanda orchids that I've been able to get to bloom. I have a couple upstairs that are still underneath some lights. And of course, I run a little humidity thing. But and my African violets. The main thing that I've learned so far with growing the orchids is that everybody's environment's different. And watering, not to overwater. Because when I first got my first 3 orchids, or 3 or 4 orchids in my life, I killed all 4 of them. And I killed them because I watered them too much. And so now I've held back, and I pretty much just water once a week. Some orchids, more days are needed than just 7. And then when it gets warmer, less days. So overwatering has been the culprit for for the dead orchids in my life. And this will be the end of my first video, and I will make another one and explaining how I got them to bloom. Well, thank you for watching if you watch.